Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of the season finale of Season 6 of The Walking Dead. It was, of course, Season 6, Episode 16, Last Day on Earth, and I absolutely know that you're all expecting me to probably rant about the cliffhanger ending. It wasn't even really a cliffhanger, and I'm going to explain why, and I probably am going to rant about it a bit. And my thoughts from before, my thoughts from my predictions are the same as my thoughts now, but there are a few things I want to say. Like, I've never really asked anyone to share my videos before. I've never asked that of you all, but if you do want to share this one, I think that I've thought about this one a lot. I've looked at all of the comments everywhere about this, and all the tweets and stuff, and the millions of them, just scrolling down looking at all this stuff, and I think I'm gonna try to put it into perspective why the fans, pretty much every fan is upset, but we're not just upset because, we're gonna have to wait to see who dies. I'm gonna try to explain why it's terrible storytelling, and why it's not even really storytelling at all to do this, and why fans are upset at a deeper, more storytelling level than just they don't want to wait. Like, saying, people are just mad because they don't want to wait is seriously misrepresenting the issue that this episode has presented. But before I get into that, I know that you all really like that I go in depth with all of my reviews, so I do want to talk about the stuff I liked before getting to that. And then once I get into that sort of cliffhanger rant, I'll probably be explaining why all of the things I like didn't matter in the first place. So the things that I did like, I absolutely loved Stephen Ogg in this. Him and the character he was portraying was so creepy, so great. And the entire Savior's feel, every time they cut them off, they put them right where they wanted them. Everybody was getting more frantic as the episode went along. It was done so well, so perfectly. It was incredible build-up. It was probably the best build-up I could ever think of, especially like Stephen Ogg and the whistling. It was so creepy. It really made it feel like something to fear. Now, why none of that mattered? Why none of that mattered is that without an ending, all of the build-up was pointless, and there was no ending. You could say, we're going to get the ending, the next part of this in the Season 7 premiere, but that doesn't excuse that this season has no ending. Now, I'm going to say compare that to actual real cliffhangers like the ending of Season 4 and Season 5, where it was a real cliffhanger, where things were legitimately, a story was told, but we were left waiting to see the rest of what would happen next season. Season 4, the story was told of us getting captured by Terminus, but we were still left wondering, we were still on the cliffhanger of how we're going to escape, how we're going to survive Terminus. Like, that was the cliffhanger, and it worked very well because the story was still told. Season 5, the story was told of Rick. We got the conclusion. He killed, what was his name even? Porch Dick. I don't even remember. Pete. Was that Pete? Was Pete Porch Dick's name? Well, Porch Dick. Rick kills Porch Dick, and that story, it's the Glenn and Nicholas stuff, the stuff with Gabriel and Sasha at the church, it all came to a head. It all came together. And coming together, that is a conclusion. And then we get Morgan, and he sees Rick kill a person, and the cliffhanger is us wondering, what are we going to do? What are we going to do next season? It looks like Rick is taking over now. How is Morgan going to react to seeing Rick kill that guy? First thing he sees when he returns to this place. Like, that is the cliffhanger. It left us wanting to watch Season 6 to see how that was going to play out. This wasn't a cliffhanger. I'm going to get a bit into my rant here before continuing on to talk about the Carolyn Morgan stuff. It wasn't a cliffhanger. It was incompleted work. If you tried to turn this in for a college creative writing course, it would be deemed not a cliffhanger, incomplete work. there was build up, and this entire season was essentially build up, and there was no payoff. Nothing came together. There was no conclusion. Now, talking really quick, I liked the Carol and Morgan stuff, but I didn't feel that Carol was in very severe danger. I was waiting the entire time for Morgan to come save her. Pretty much every part of that was completely predicted in my predictions, and it was easily, predictable. And beyond being easily predictable, it was underwhelming. It was kind of less than what I'd predicted. And we left on the cliffhanger of seeing the knights from the kingdom that, of course, I predicted. But that was the cliffhanger we needed. We didn't need to not see who Negan killed. Before I get into the scene with who Negan killed, I'll talk quickly about the portrayal of Negan. I do understand there are a lot of people that are liking how he was, like, Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan, and a lot of people not liking it. I still like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. I like the idea of it, but I think the portrayal so far was complete, pardon my French, complete horseshit. The portrayal was very badly done. Negan is the character. You saw that he was leading all these men. He needs to have a big, larger-than-life personality, something that makes you think, okay, this many people would listen to this guy. And that's how it is in the comics. In the comics, I always felt like he had the sort of loud, drunk uncle at a birthday party sort of stereotype going on, with a lot more murder. But in this, he was it was hard to understand what he was saying sometimes. He was mumbling through lines, and he just, he felt like he was, sort of holding himself really meekly, mumbling through lines. He was pretty quiet. He was calm and relaxed, but that is not at all how I see Negan, and I don't think it's just a problem with what I see comic Negan as. I think it's a portrayal of, it doesn't make sense for somebody that's calm and chill and meek looking to be able to hold all these people into line. So from what we've seen of Negan so far, the personality is way off from what it needs to be to keep up with the comics. It wasn't just, it was below underwhelming. It was nothing. It didn't even make sense. And for just about the entirety of this episode, other than the really good build-up with getting trapped a bunch of times, other than that, I don't know how writers, a group of professional writers, I'm not a professional writer, I've only done a little bit here and there, but I don't know how people sat in a writer's room, a bunch of professionals, and said this was a good idea. I don't know how they thought that this was proper storytelling. I can't comprehend it. And beyond that, I think it's incomplete work. And I think the way that it could have gone, everything was set up for this to be the best episode in the series. And I saw somebody say in comments, this could have been their Red Wedding, like from Game of Thrones, but they squandered it. They wasted all of it, and nothing happened. Nothing happened this entire episode. That's my problem with it. It was a finale where nothing happened. It wasn't underwhelming. Once again, it was nothing. It was unwhelming. There was no whelm to be found. Now, why this is such a terrible idea and how it could have been better. It could have been better, say he kills the person, we see him kill the person, and that's how it was in the comics. They should have thought, why was it like this in the comics? And that was because it's supposed to come in, be that gut punch, change the series, and this didn't do that. It said, hey, here's a promo, and we'll see you season 7. That's what this episode was. It was a 90-minute promo, over 35 of which were commercials. They could have shown that as a promo. They could have shown last week at the end of last week's episode as the promo, Negan hitting the first-person angle, and that could have been their promo. When your episode is comparable to a promo, especially a finale episode, that's very bad. That's not good at all. And I think that's why fans are upset, because we got nothing, because they took all of the effort, they took all the build-up, and they squandered it into nothing, because by the time season 7 gets here, no one's going to care. We're going to say, we know every single one of those characters, we've thought about what would happen if each of them dies, and now we don't care, because it didn't happen in the moment, it didn't surprise us. We know one of them's going to die, so it doesn't matter which one now, it's not going to be surprising any way they do it. The only way they can make this surprising is if fucking Glenn crawls under a dumpster, Nicholas's body takes the Lucille hit, Father Gabriel shows up on a Daryl's motorcycle and 360 no-scopes Negan in the calf. Like, there's nothing they can do to make this surprising anymore. They've wasted all of their chance. No one's going to care in 7 months. And something I saw people bring up was, well, if they had the death happen in the finale, it would have been spoiled months ago. And that's not a defense at all. And the reason why that isn't a defense at all is because now it's just going to get spoiled months before the premiere. So, like, no matter who you are, it's going to be out there. Somebody's going to blurt it out somewhere. Like, and they can't show us any decent promos now, because if they show us any decent promos, it's going to give away who died. And that's why I said in my predictions, a cliffhanger ending doesn't just ruin the episode completely. It ruins season 6 completely, because season 6 was 75% build up for this scene. So without the scene happening, the entire season pretty much is just build up that the season is pretty much a promo for season 7. You could skip from 5 to 7 and read, like, I'm not even lying, you could read a 2-paragraph summary of season 6. Be like, okay, skip from 5 to 7. And that's ridiculous when this could have been the best season. And another big problem with it is that we really rushed No Way Out. We really rushed A Larger World. And while I think that the portrayals of those in the show were good, they were incredibly rushed. And we rushed them so that we could get to Negan. And for what? We didn't even get Negan. We didn't get that kill. We didn't get Negan's personality. We got nothing. That's why people are upset. It's because you built something up. You hyped us up. You had Andrew Lincoln saying it was sickening, or people saying it was the most brutal thing they'd done in the show, and then they don't do anything. Nothing was done. Another scene I absolutely loved was Eugene building up for Eugene's sacrifice, and Josh McDermott was such an amazing actor this episode. He did so well. Eugene was so well portrayed, and then by having him get captured, I wouldn't complain about that had we had the end scene, because it would have brought everything together. But by not having that scene, it just made that whole thing pointless. It made one of the only good things about the episode totally pointless. So it ruined the episode. It ruined season 6, essentially. And the entire first half of season 6 was completely slow. Episodes 9 through 12 were very, very good. But episodes 13 to 15 were build up for this finale. It left a bunch of plot points for the finale to bring together, and the finale just added more build up. It didn't bring any of those points together. And you can't have only build up with no conclusion. That's not telling a story. And it goes even farther into, normally I love The Talking Dead and Chris Hardwick and the way they look at everything. But seeing The Talking Dead and going to Chris Hardwick's little Facebook chat thing afterward, it just seemed like they kept saying, their excuses kept being because storytelling. But this wasn't storytelling. A story was not told. So that really, it just disappoints me. And that's what I think, if I had filmed a live reaction in the moment, like, my heart was racing, I was totally into it, I thought the build-up was great, and then the episode just ended. And without anything to capitalize on that build-up, I was just like, oh, well, that's disappointing. I didn't feel sad, I didn't feel angry, I was just disappointed. And I think that's the way that 90% of fans felt. And I think that also with the other poll they did, where they were like, do you love to hate Negan or hate to love him? And it was love to hate him, and nobody said they felt the connection with him. It's because the portrayal wasn't this big, exciting personality that you can get behind and enjoy. It was just boring. Like, nothing happened. Nothing with Negan happened. So, I'm really sorry for making this a rant, but that's mostly what it's become because very little happened in the episode. There's very little to talk about. The only thing really to talk about is the cliffhanger and why it is such a mistake. Because all of the good things mean nothing because of the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger takes all of them and gives them no meaning. It takes their purpose away. And that would be okay if, say, the season 7 premiere was the finale of this and we were getting the conclusion, but still, it takes your momentum and it completely derails it. And that's why this is also going to hurt season 7, because season 7 isn't going to be able to start off giving us a story. It's going to have to start off getting back on tracks from where they derailed, from where this train wreck of a season just took us way off track, and we're going to have to spend the first few episodes trying to get back on track to tell the story again. That's why this is such terrible storytelling. You shot your own series in the foot, AMC. I'm sorry, and I don't want to be one of those people. I hate these people saying fire Scott Gimple, because it's not his fault. He's one person. I do think as a showrunner, he should have been able to... I think anybody involved should have been able to see why this was a terrible idea, but especially the showrunner. But I don't want to blame that one person, and I certainly don't want to blame the actors, because I'm just going to take a moment to talk about Andrew Lincoln's portrayal of Rick this episode. My God, that was good acting. And I absolutely love Sonequa Martin Green's acting as Sasha. Maggie Lauren Cohen was amazing too. The acting this episode was so good. Even Jeffrey Dean Morgan, his acting was so good. I'm not going to blame him for the portrayal of Negan. I blame writing and directing for that. The acting was incredible. The writing was just nothing. There was nothing there. And there was something else I wanted to talk about with this episode. This wasn't what I was thinking of, but real quick, while we're on the subject of the cliffhanger, I think they failed with the trying to guess who it is, because nobody's going to care who it is, because we're all going to be prepared after 7 months, or it's going to get spoiled. But I think it was obviously Glenn. I'm sure by now you've all seen that audio that slowed down, that it very much sounds like it's Glenn that gets killed, and I'm kind of 100% on that boat. It really does seem and sound like that, which again is why this was a terrible idea. They should know if they filmed it and had the sound mixing make it blurred out, that some amateur person out there was going to undo that and try to make it sound audible. And unless they're intentionally misleading us, then that is... And if they are intentionally misleading us, then that just wrecks the storytelling a lot more. So there were so many problems with this. I really didn't want to do a 20-minute rant, but I'm trying to explain why this was such a bad idea, and I think I don't need to explain it to the really invested hardcore fans, the fans that are really into it, because they're all going to understand. They all seem to have the same opinion. And when I first saw this, I was trying to justify it. I was going to say, okay, it wasn't that bad because the build-up was good, or we're just going to see what happens in Season 7. But the more I thought about it, the more I saw what everyone else was saying, the more I realized that, yes, what I said before this episode airs was right. They totally went wrong on this. And I saw a ton of comments before this even aired saying, they've set this up so well. The only way AMC can mess up the best episode ever is to end it on a cliffhanger. Why wouldn't they listen to fans? Why would they not say, okay, fans kind of have it right here. The fans apparently know more about writing than we do, that there needs to be an ending to this story. The build-up has to go somewhere, or else it's just pointless. Or else there was no story. Nothing happened. I know I've said I should put a nothing happened counter in the corner or something, because really that's all I can say about this episode. Like, they built it up, they hyped it up, trying to tell us fans that it was going to be the hypest, the biggest, the most intense episode ever, and then they delivered nothing. They delivered absolutely nothing. And if they give it to us in the Season 7 premiere, there's going to be no tension. The tension was broken by 7 months of nothing. So, they completely ruined this. I think they shot the series itself in the foot. Of course I'm going to keep watching. I think all the people, or most of the people saying they're going to quit watching are like they're just kidding themselves, because you're going to keep watching. But I do think that they could potentially take a big hit to their audience. I do think there is a vast number of people that could actually stop watching because of this. I think they really, instead of building interest for Season 7, I know personally, as a personal experience, they've killed my interest. I would have been very interested if they killed a person and the hype was supposed to be, how are we going to fight Negan? How are we going to get revenge? Or how are we going to get out from under the thumb of this tyrannical dictator? But, no, we're robbed of that hype. We get nothing. We get nothing at all. And Season 7 becomes less impactful because of this. Everything about this episode was done wrong, because even the parts that were done right were made to mean nothing. So overall, the fairest score, and I've thought about this more than any of my other reviews, the fairest score I can give this is like 2 first-person camera angles out of 10. A 2 out of 10 is legitimately the fairest score I can give this. I gotta say that I wanted to portray in a fair way, not just attacking the show. I wanted to portray why everyone is so very disappointed. It's not that we're angry. It's not that, oh, we have to wait 7 months. It's that we're disappointed that a story was not told. We were promised a story and we did not get one. And waiting until Season 7, I'm not one of those people that's going to say, oh, it's a gimmick, they're trying to get ratings. I hope that's not true. I sincerely do. But, man, I don't want to be that person. I don't personally think that, but there is this part inside of me that thinks maybe that is what they're doing, because I can't understand how any competent writer would think this was a decent choice. So I'm very sorry that this was a somber rant, but there was literally nothing happening in this episode. It was possibly worse than that Daryl and Beth episode everyone hates. It was possibly the worst episode in the series. It was a 90-minute ad, a 90-minute promotion, and that is ridiculous, and it's sad. So everybody, like if you did like this video and my sort of thoughts and justification on this episode. I'm sorry I didn't go as in-depth part by part as usual, but there weren't parts to go by. There weren't parts to go through part by part because nearly nothing happened. I may go through and do another discussion on this depending on what you all comment and what you all think about it. Even though I usually don't ask, share this if you want to with other Walking Dead fans. Just if you want to. I'm not gonna tell you to share it, like, if you don't want to. Subscribe also if you want to. I am still planning to do the Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead content. Definitely, of course. I'm still on board with the series. I can still like the series while thinking that they made a terrible, horrible decision. Follow on Twitter if you do want updates on when I'm posting a new video or if anything gets pushed back. And comment down there to tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you thought of the episode. Tell me what you thought of my thoughts on the episode and if you thought I was fair. I probably forgot things, so of course I may make a discussion later, picking up things about the season in general that I sort of overlooked a bit. But I tried to be as fair and thorough as I could in this rant. It was more a rant than a review, really. But I think that's about it. I really do sincerely thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.